Yes, welcome to Angular 8 tutorial, and today we are at modules in Angular of this series session 7. And before proceeding, I would request to kindly go to my previous tutorial session 6, which is on nested components in Angular, because it is the continuous to that last series. So kindly go through before proceeding this way. So let's begin with. Okay, like here today we are going to discuss what is a module and how basically it is associated with an Angular application. What is the importance of having this? So Angular application are modular based, and it has its own modular system called ng modules. So like in if you compare to your .NET, also you can be localize some of setting using multiple config files. So like here we also can be configured with multiple that we are just going to discuss in our next slide. And before that, every Angular application has a module called app.module.ts, and what it contains basically, so it contains the application related settings. All the components, directives, pipes and other things are registered with here providers, in the sense like, let's suppose we are going to discuss some services just after some of videos session. So in our next video tutorials, of course. So services is something like you can integrate those services with your multiple components. Okay, so that needs to be registered first. So if you register in the provider section, that means it is something the modular is going to avail the services throughout the applications. That is the job of the module, and it contains all the addresses of all its relative things in the sense pipes, character, directives, etc. Okay, for to the application, and it will be available okay throughout the application. So that's the thing we are talking about. So ng module is the nothing but it is the container where you can group the components, directives, pipes we just discussed, like services we have. And as part of registration process, definitely it is required. And modules can be import functionality of other exports. So that is something I am just going to discuss in my next slide. Like let's suppose we can have multiple modules in a one single application. Okay, and that can be exported so that the functionality to be used by ng module. Okay, that I will discuss in my next slide. And the module which can be imported functionality of other ng module too. So we'll discuss this now. So before that, okay, every application must be having at least one app module, as I said. Today we are just going to discuss just right now, like how the app module.ts works basically practically. Okay, so you would have been observed, like whenever I'm just going to create, or I will be creating an f component or any component, there is a file called your app.module.ts, which is going to take care of all its registration and availability process, right? So let's just go through and have a view on this. Yeah, so like here we are talking about in our last application itself. Here this is the file called app.module.ts. Here if you will see, like we are importing browser module, ng module, so everything it is declared over here. And it has some of things which is called as metadata. Of course it is contains the metadata, and metadata can contain some of properties. Okay, so one is called your declaration, one is called your import, providers, bootstrap and all basically. Okay, so here you can see we have a class as well. Okay, it is a simple ts file, but it is forming as a module, so that whatever the things it is registered here, that will be available through the application. But how it is available through the application? Because as you know, like every application has a an entry point basically, and this module is the entry point which is addressed through your main.ts file. It is something you can consider in your console application of .NET, like it is your the main method like you have in other application or other language, right? So here you can see, like in main.ts we are importing app module, right? So it's been imported over here. And here you can see, like the configuration it is saying the which one is going to be the bootstrap module. Bootstrap is something like we are telling or we are instructing the Angular application like this is going to be the bootstrap module, this is going to be the main module for the entire application. And when we will go inside, okay, by pressing F12, basically go to definition. Here you can see we are bootstrapping a component. And what is this? I'm just talking about this all in details, whatever the properties and its value we have just now. So like we have some of properties to metadata. So what is metadata? Metadata is nothing but whatever the things we are finding within a within the within the uh, sorry ng module method, basically. Okay, so as you can see here, ng module is nothing but it's a method basically which is decorated, and it is also a decorator, of course. Like we are importing from Angular core and using this ng module, we have a method called ng module, and these are the properties of this method. Okay, so we have some of properties, of course. So like the first properties we are having called declaration. Okay, so what it speaks about, like it declares with components pipes directives in ng module. Okay, we just saw, like here you can see, here the declaration part takes up like app component, employee list component. Let's suppose tomorrow I will have one more component gets created, definitely I am going to register over here. I have to list down under declaration itself. So the next thing is we are talking about is called exports. So it is the subset of declaration which avails the component to be used by other ng module. So this is something point, you just keep it in on mind. We are just going to discuss right away in my next slide when I'm moving. So like let's suppose I am having more than one module, and the one module I want to avail just outside of this scope of this current module, then we need to export it before going to use it, else it won't be available for outside of the module. It is something kind of scope you are going to extend. The next one is called it is not declaration, sorry for the typo. So it's called imports. It was a typo, actually I rectified. Basically imports, like it comprises of other exported classes need by component. Again, you just keep it on mind also. And even you would have been seen let me go to the Visual Code one. Here you can see like we are having import browser module. This is something like we are importing through the application. So if you are declaring something in your import, that means it is going to available at entire application level. Okay, so that's it. The next one is called providers. Okay, so providers, this is the section where you are going to register your services, basically. Okay, even often it's suggested like you can have your services registered at component level itself. So no need to worry about as of now, like those are completely new to Angular. Basically when we are moving to our upcoming tutorials on services, I am going to discuss it thoroughly. Okay, so services is two kind of services we can have. Okay, so both the services we can go ahead and we can register over here so that it will be available throughout the application. And the next and the last one major properties we are talking about here is your bootstrap. Okay, so bootstrap is nothing but you can just correlate with the .NET application we have. We must be having one startup file, right? If you would have been observed in a .NET application, we have a startup file that is going to load for the first time when the application renders. Okay, so like we can have a root component, basically the main component that is going to hold other components, and it is the one who is running the application. Here we are having app component as our bootstrap component. Okay, now we will move to working with multiple ng module. Okay, so here we are going to discuss all the points. So these are basically three steps. The first steps, it speaks about like how we can create a module using the cl command. Before that, what is multiple ng module? Like as I told, let's suppose we are talking about a real-time application. You can have a admin module, you can have a user module, you can have a login module, many module we can have. It's better to substitute in some cases if the requirement suggests and requirement comes up with, so that it will be maintainable as well. Okay, so like we can have as multiple ng module, that how we are going to behave and how we are going to work, we are going to discuss here, right? So to create a ng module, we are having this command nggm department. Okay, so let's go to the VS Code. So here let me create a module for you, like ng, g for generate, m for module, that is the alias name, or you can simply also type module as well, but let me go for the certain syntax. So nggm, and here I am going to create department module. Okay, so this is my module department. Just hit enter and just check what is it is going to be have basically how it is going to create all these things. Okay, so my module got created here. Here you can see it has one department.module.ts. Now let me go and just open it. So here it is something like it, you can correlate it similar to this one. We are having import section, we are having ng module, and we have a class, of course, right? So here the same thing, and we have a class too. Okay, this is something, it will be available to only this part department, whatever the component or something it is going to be reside inside, whatever the settings or the configuration we are going to do here, we are going to register the things over here, that will be available to only department. So let's go and just create a component within this department. So to create a component, we have ng generate c for component inside department. Okay, department slash, let's suppose I will have a department component again. Okay, but yeah, okay, let me create. Okay, so it's all done. Like within department we are having department, and this is the component we have exactly, right? So here yeah, exactly. So now let me move into the slide and we'll discuss the next steps what is there itself. Okay, the step one is we just created the app module, sorry, not app module, the ng module. And the second step, it tells about to avail the component. So as we saw, like we just created one component, that component is not available throughout the application until we are not going to proceed with this two second and third step basically. So the second step, it takes care of like if you want any component to be used outside of the current module, okay, then it needs to be export, okay, in its native module.ts. So here native module.ts means the module we are talking here, this one, department dot module dot ts, right? So here we need to import basically. Okay, and what is the third step it tells about? And the third step, it is saying like the whatever the ng modules, the multiple ng modules we have, that needs to be registered, or that is going to be the part of import section of your main app module.ts, because this is something you need to register. Without that you can't run the module, or you can integrate the sub module to your main module. So that's the thing we are talking about. So in our app module.ts, the main module, we have to declare over here. So let's go and declare it. Okay, but okay, let me show you like what if I'm not going to import it. Okay, but I want to just use it. So you have a department component ts. So what is the selected app department, right? And if you need this html like department works, how you are going to render it? So this is something nested component we just discussed in our previous tutorial. So we need to go to the app component 2.html, because this is something thing we are calling from our base app component ts here. Okay, so let me just hit enter and okay, I'm just trying app hyphen. So are you able to see any kind of suggestion or any tag? If we'll copy and paste over here also, it is going to give an error. Why it is not giving me like we are having like others? Employee list is available, but why it is not available? Because this is something which is only available within this department. Let's suppose you have one more component, you want to just tag it within that component, then definitely it would be available, but here it is not available because it is something your sub module is not interacting with your main module. Okay, so the main application in associated with this app module.ts, and we are not exporting to this module itself. So what is the next mode of action? So you need to declare one export section. Okay, and within that, what I need to export? Department component. So this is the first step done. The second step basically in our last slide. So now we need to the export the entire module to be available inside your main application. Okay, so there is a one browser module. Let's import it. Your the sub module we have. What is the sub module name? Department module. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so whenever you are just getting the intelligence, just hit enter, you will get the path declared over here for import purpose. Okay, now let me show you whether it is detecting or not. It's all good. Now we are able to get it. Okay, now just run it and see whether it is working or not. Okay, so it started with compilation. It would be ready, and we will move it to the browser and we'll see how it is working. So basically it is now transpiling entire code, so that ts files, basically the transcript code is going to render as javascript code. Okay, which browser understands. Now these are all good to go with. So here try to go there, localhost 4200. Okay, so thanks for watching this video series, guys. You can visit to my blog for all the text version of my tutorials, and for this url kindly visit to get the text version of this particular session. Okay, so but apart from that, I would like to kindly subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe icon which is appearing just right away on your screen. Else you can just go to the below, and there is a subscribe button, and kindly post that click on the bell icon to get notified whenever there is a post from my end. Okay, so till then, keep smiling, keep sharing your knowledge with others, and keep learning, because learning never has an end. Thank you.